All right, Adam, if you didn't hear the little robot, recording is in progress. How are you and your child doing today?
Hey, we're amazing here. Little guy, he was sick all last night, so he's with dad today. He's feeling
Mhm.
very tender. He can't be set down. He's 11 months old with a 102 temp, so he's a little fragile.
Mhm. So, before, I'd love to ask about your kid all day, but let's talk about Exiled. Um,
Yes.
we've talked about, Love and Monsters, The Eighth, and The Kill Journal in the past. So I'm really excited to see, what you wrote and what you have going on. Oh, no, believe me, I saw those. And now, so I was going to get to that question later, but since you brought it up, the figures, are they smaller than the one you had for the eighth? Because I thought that that one was larger.
Yes. Oh no. Okay. So the one I did for the eighth was a custom sculpt. It was one of a kind, fully painted. That's an original. Only one exists in the world. And one of my amazing backers who also got these sculpt for Kids and Monsters. He has both of them in his collection now. And those are amazing because those are like that the eighth was a hand sculpt, just like by one of the greatest sculptors in Hollywood. His name's Greg Aronowitz. And whereas this one here for the Exile, this is a 3D print based off a digital sculpt that was done, that was based on the art. Um, it was just based on the art by Esquivo, my artist on this. Hey, Joe, can you hold on just one teeny second?
Yep,
Can
go
you pause
ahead.
one second?
Okay, so I wanted to know, since we know about the different kind of statues now and 3D printed ones, the 3D printed ones aren't limited, correct?
Right. So this is an unlimited version, and the way this one kind of works here with this 3D statue is it's going to be exclusive to the campaign, but it's something that's going to be injection molded versus handmade. I mean, it's beautiful. You can see it the size of my head. It's
Right.
awesome. It has a little clue in it that leads into our digital
Oh
code.
yeah, that's what I was excited to talk about too.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, we wanted to find a way to build, because I've always been, combining games into other traditional forms of entertainment has been much of what I've done. How do I build gaming into television, and then how do we build some gaming into reading a comic book? And it was like, how can we add these interactive clues that you can find while reading the book, that not while necessarily the book isn't necessarily interactive, but they lead you online to a place where you can use these codes. So it's like you're reading the book once and then you're looking at it again to find these codes that then can unlock some fun digital collectibles. It's a way to create another layer of benefit to backers. And those codes will only exist this time. They won't exist when this thing goes to single issues. As you know, Whatnot Publishing has now partnered up with us. Whatnot, is a live streaming app where people sell collectibles. They're the number one seller of comic books in North America, which is kind of a crazy thought. They even just surpassed eBay, and so they're really a major player, and they want their own publishing division, and we're going to be one of their 4 launching titles. And so we're pumped about it. They came on just recently. What had happened is somebody we'd been talking to about publishing the book into retail distribution ended up being acquired by Whatnot Publishing, and we just got kind of brought in with the Maelstrom, and it came out really perfect. We love Whatnot, we love what that is, and think it's a great place. But the single issues that will appear in 2023, they will not have the codes.
Okay.
That'll only exist for the backers.
Well, the what is Gifted Rebels now part of Whatnot, or is that just for this specific comic?
Yeah, no. So yeah, we're not necessarily a part of them in the sense, but they have a deal to publish this one book,
Okay.
um, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
they've been a good partner. They're going to my co-creator on this, Keith Aram. He has a booth down at Comic-Con for his studio called PCB Productions, and San Diego Comic-Con, and Whatnot is partnering with us on the booth. They're going whole hog into the Wesley Snipes Exiled world. So they've been a great partner.
That's awesome. So I had watched the video with Wesley talking about, the comic, and then the second part of the video is the actual like trailer for the comic.
Right.
I was curious if you were the one that cut that together, since you're the one that I mean, since you also direct video game trailers and you've done a lot of things as well, or if that was handled by Whatnot, a different company.
Oh, yeah. So the animation was handled by a company called Inked Publishing. They're like a crowdfunding consultant slash promoter.
Okay.
Kevin over there, Richard Broom over there. And we had a really great team that did the animation. It all came through them that delivered that animation. And that was all them. The first interview with Wes, I shot that, obviously. And so that was all me, but the animation that goes to the Inked Pub guys, they really knocked it out.
That's awesome. So then I know you're a co-creator and a writer on this.
That's right.
So you were the only one when I was doing research that's credited as a writer. Did you handle writing the entire comic then?
That's right. So the way it works out is the way it'll go by is the crediting is story by Wes, Keith, myself, and script and letters by me. So the three of us have all talked through the story, developed the character, fleshed out the world, etc. From a broad picture standpoint. Wes brought in a lot of insight, especially on the character and who is Roach, and because he thinks about things, through the eyes of an actor, right? So he's thinking about how would it feel to be this person, right? Which brings a lot of depth. So that's really cool. And then as far as and then Keith and I had been working on the story for years before we had our first meeting with Wes. We mentioned, hey, I want to do a comic book. Keith and Wes knew each other from Demolition Man days. And we were in a place where like, hey, what about this story? And Wesley's like, I like it. Can we add this, this, and this, right? So it was our jumping off point. And then with the three of us together, we took it to a new height. And so that's what you're seeing now. This is the creative collaboration between the three of us. And then that's myself actually penning the dialogue and the panels. And then I actually letter my own books as well. I letter them in Clip Studio, and I, all the sound effects I hand draw and try to make it as authentic and as, as much of me inscribed into the pages as possible. So that's kind of how the relationship works between us. And so it's a really great collaboration. I think that, collaborating on pages is really tough, like two people writing the same thing. I don't know that I think that works very well. But this way, then we get to work as a team. Right. I can send things in and get feedback, and we work all together. It's really great.
That's cool. So, continuing on that note with the Snipes video, I remember him mentioning something about for him, it's like Blade Runner meets Seven.
That's right.
Now, is that something that you can expand on, or do you feel like you see a different type of movies or genre coming out of that?
No, I think Wes hit it perfectly on the head. I mean, he nailed it. In the sense that it's like Seven, because we have a detective chasing a serial killer involved in a complex arrangement of murders that seem difficult to put together, and they have clues tied into them. And then like Blade Runner, because there's this science fiction like element to the story, and the big reveal in the pursuit of this serial killer sort of flips the whole world on its head, right? It's a whole world paradigm shift in our twist. And so it's really, I think those are perfect examples that Wes gave.
Can you give me a little bit of information for the Kickstarter? I know that there's cards. Are they just collectible cards, or are they like trading cards? Is there a game that you can play with those?
So right now they're a collectible card that they're going to have codes baked into them as well that will lead to their own digital collectibles. So they're a continuation of that part of the story. They're fun to collect. They'll only exist in this campaign. And I think it's always fun when you get a book and then you get a little packet of cards and they're these cool items you can stick into sleeves or however people like to put, a single card on a desk or whatever they do um, to make them like a piece of art that's easy to display. So
Right.
I really like cards when they come with comics. And so that's why it's done like this.
Yeah, that's my question, was mostly fueled by Asunder. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know if that was something that was going to tie in or be similar or kind of have influence from there. Um, so that's pretty much the reason I asked about the cards. The something that I'm really interested in is is it the Go on the Kickstarter? It's called the Go
The Go
edition.
version.
Yeah. Can can you tell me about how that came about? Like, that's something that I don't think I had ever heard of, like taking a Go version and making it more like a manga style.
Yes, I feel like there's two things about it. One is I read a lot of manga. I love Chainsaw Man, and I feel like in many ways, manga is the future of comic books in the West, and probably in the world. They just have unique, new, fresh stories. They hit a broad range of genres that don't involve capes. And also the amazing packaging, this 7.5 by 5 inch book that you can tuck in your backpack, your back pocket, you can kind of go anywhere with, right?
Right.
It's less fragile. I think that are really wonderful marquee things about manga. And so I wanted that with this. I wanted to have a gray toned version of the book that was manga sized, felt like a manga. Now it's going to read left to right. It won't be, converted for Japanese language. But I do love what that is to read. And I also really like, reading books in gray tone, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, if comic book sales are saying have anything to do with it, it would say that the majority of people also prefer to read in gray tones. So I'm really excited to have that. And we wanted to make it special. We have a cool wrap cover on that book by Kevin Castriano. And it has the red painted pages on the edges. The red ink kind of will bleed in a little bit onto the interior of the page. So giving a very fresh textured feel to it that I'm excited for people to get their hands on. It's the book that I wish I could go to the store and buy. And so I'm glad to give it to people.
Now you've got the ultimate hardcover coming out, and it's got the the book bookmark and everything. Is that is going to be? I guess my question is, how tall is that going to be? Like, as
so it's
far
8.5 by 13 inches.
Oh, okay.
So it's huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gigantic.
Yeah, it's a big book, and I think I wanted that feeling so much. I purchased this book, Wolverine Black, White, Red, Black, White, and Red, that was in that same size format, and it was so fun to read because it was really immersive. But it also wasn't hardcover; it was a big soft cover with a stitch binding, just like this is going to have, a big soft cover, stitch binding with a ribbon bookmark. And so it's when you open the thing up, little panels become big, and it's a more immersive storytelling experience, I think.
Oh, so
and that's why it's
cover.
What's that? Yeah, so it won't be a
Okay.
hardcover, it'll be soft cover.
Okay.
Because I think at 13 inches, like a hardcover starts to get one way heavy, and two, unless the book is really thick, it just starts to become unwieldy. And whereas this, I think is a more effective way to read it. It's interesting because I've talked to many people who are like, yeah, I don't back things that are hardcover because I hate to read hardcovers.
It can be a little tough, especially at the beginning and the end, when you're not like halfway through and you've got the book constantly moving. So I totally understand that. Like, I have both hardcover and softcover version of Watchmen, just because I prefer the soft, but I also like the black and white, which is my hardcover, like you were saying, the gray tones. So
yeah.
I go both ways on that. I'm excited for the hardcover because that's the one that I ended up, well, sorry, the soft cover, the edition, because that's the one I ended up backing. So that's going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah, no, it's an oversized. I wanted to feel when it shows up on your house, and it's like it doesn't feel and look like any book you've gotten before. Because I think that always is so disappointing when you get a comic that you waited forever for, right? Because you had to crowdfund it, and then you get there and it just looks like what you could have got at your local comic shop. And I don't mean just, I just mean it's like, that wasn't what I was hoping. That wasn't like this big piece of magic.
So I see you have your Kill Journal shirt on, which is awesome. I didn't know there was any clothing for that.
Yeah, we did. We did two versions of the t-shirt.
So you did two versions of the t-shirt for that. Were there any clothing for Love and Kids and Monsters or the Eighth? And do you plan on doing any clothing for Exiled?
So there is a t-shirt for the Eighth. There is going to be one for Kids and Monsters. The Exiled right now, I've been in, I with my partner on this, well, my partner was Keith and I, we talked about a shirt, but kind of decided against it. Though I think that in the future, there certainly might be one.
Okay. And then for the digital codes, I know we have one that is going to be on the soft cover Ultimate Edition. And there's going to be one on the actual toy, the figure. Will there be ones in the digital editions?
So there won't be, the codes won't exist in the digital edition of the book.
Okay.
For the reason to prevent them from getting shared too easily. To prevent them getting shared too easily. So that was our initial reasoning with that. That may change if people feel otherwise, but initially we felt like that was it would make them too easy to share, and we wanted it to be something that was fairly exclusive to the print backers.
Okay. Now, is there anything that people haven't asked you about this book that you would like to share?
Well, I would say this is that, we're diving in to a story that is, dark and dramatic and complex. And I think what's exciting is you have this new artist, Gabriel Santos, who's delivering these unbelievable pages, traditionally done, pouring his soul into it. You have a big movie star like Wesley, who is seeing the heights of that. You have Keith Aram, my partner on it, who is the voice director for the Call of Duty franchise, for Final Fantasy, for the top of the food chain in video games. And you have these, young, old, super experienced, and you have my side as a showrunner and television and also comic book maker, all converging together, creating what I feel like is a next level. Oh baby. Creating what I think is creating a next level comic book. And what I'm hoping is starting to be more the future of comic books, where there are no capes, there's no spandex, and instead you're in it for a great story that isn't kept within the geek halls, but is available to anyone who wants to read a compelling story.
I like that a lot. That's opening the medium to, hopefully to get to more subgenres, and it will get more small creators out there as well. So I am to end. Is there anything that you'd like to plug, social media wise or website wise?
Well, you can always follow me on Twitter at Gifted Rebels, at Gifted Rebels Co, or on Instagram at Gifted Rebels Co. I'm always posting there all the latest and greatest. But if you want the really good stuff, follow me on Substack. It's adamlawson.com/Substack. And The Rebellion is the name of my newsletter there. But that's where you get like the most amount of insight and depth. They get the coolest behind the scenes pages. And that's for the, so that gets the most exciting way into my world.
Okay, awesome. Well, it was an awesome time speaking with you, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. No, it's good. It's awesome. I think that, we've had quite a journey together across
Yeah,
all these books. It's kind of amazing that here we are for number 4.
because we started
It's
with
so
the
cool.
eighth. We
I
started
know,
with
right?
the eighth.
I know you were there for day 1.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we're going to do an Indiegogo campaign as well for this, like a 15-day encore campaign. Because it's like there's a lot of people who are Indiegogo backers, and it's like they've been with me from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so, obviously I've used both platforms, and I'm agnostic myself, but some people care. And so, or like have a preference because they don't, some of the people on Indiegogo, the reason they don't like Kickstarter is because they hate that you have to use BackerKit and they like have the survey process,
Okay.
and which I do hate that about Kickstarter from a management standpoint. Let's see, like Indiegogo gets you the people fill out their address, their credit card information, and it charges it right then.
Okay.
Kickstarter waits on everything.
Yeah, I
So
noticed
it's
that.
like, why would you wait to get people's address? Why would you wait, to get that information? It's like,
And the money. Why would
and
you
the,
wait for the money? Yeah,
oh,
obviously,
you
if they're
just,
ordering it, they have
that's
the
right.
money.
And also people, it's weird because lots of people that aren't expecting to charge because they backed it and it's been 3 weeks and it surprises them. Also, especially for people who aren't regular backers, they don't know.
Right.
So it's really, it's a super, super poor design of Kickstarter. The Indiegogo has figured out. It's just like, it works like a regular transaction. You get paid, you pay them right then, they collect all your data, and then myself as the creator has all that. So then I don't have to reach out later to get people to fill out a survey. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, you know what I mean? It's like so many times on every campaign I've done where you had to go back to get their surveys, there's a handful of backers who just have never gotten their stuff because they've just never gotten me their address. And it's like, oh, you guys, why would you make us go back to them later to get that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can see why that's a pain in the ass. But thank you again. Sorry for cussing in front of the kid. Thank you again. And I make sure you stay safe, brother.